Matter exists in three different states, that is solids, liquids, and gases. In this chapter, we will discuss the gaseous state of matter and some of its important properties. The physical properties of gases are quite different from that of solids and liquids. Some of the examples are the following. Gases are highly compressible. That is, the volume of the gas can be changed significantly by applying pressure on it. Gases do not have a fixed shape or volume. They assume the volume and shape of the container in which they are placed. 3. Gases have much lower density than solids and liquids. 4. Gases can mix with each other in any proportions to form solutions. 5. Gases exert pressure on the walls of the container in which they are placed. The gases behave this way because the intermolecular forces between the gas particles are weak. If we take a sample of any gas, it consists of gas particles constantly moving in straight lines in random directions. They constantly collide with the walls of the container, and because of this, they exert pressure on the walls of the container. In the next slide, we will discuss more on the gas pressure. Any object, whether it is a solid, liquid, or a gas, exerts pressure. For example, when we stand, we exert some pressure on the floor by virtue of our mass and gravity. A liquid inside a bucket exerts a pressure on the walls of the bucket, and that is why when you make a hole in the bucket, the water flows out with some pressure. Similarly, a sample of gas inside a tire exerts pressure on the inner walls of the tire. As we discussed earlier, this is because the gas particles constantly collide with the walls of the tire. The pressure is defined as the force acting on a unit area. That is, the pressure is directly related to the force exerted and inversely related to the area of the surface over which the force is exerted. This is why when we decrease the size of the opening on a hose, water comes out with more pressure. The SI unit of pressure is Pascal, which is derived from the SI units of force and area. 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. The following are a few other units of pressure we use in this chapter: atmospheres, millimeters of mercury, torr, and kilopascals. And the conversion factors which convert one unit into the other unit are given below. As we discussed in the earlier slide, all types of matter exert pressure. We live our lives in the lowermost layer of atmosphere, which is a mixture of gases. Because of these gases, every point on the earth experiences pressure from the gases on the top. This pressure is called atmospheric pressure. Assume that the air around us is divided into huge columns of air, and the atmospheric pressure is the pressure exerted by the gases in this column on the surface of the earth. Therefore, the atmospheric pressure changes with altitude. The higher we go, the less air we have in the column and the less pressure we experience. The atmospheric pressure at sea level is defined as 1 atmospheres. Next, we will discuss how do we measure the atmospheric pressure. We use a device called as barometer to measure the atmospheric pressure. We take a long glass tube that is closed at one end. We fill it with mercury and place it upside down in a beaker containing mercury without allowing any air bubbles to enter into the tube. This setup is shown in the figure. When we invert the tube, some of the mercury flows out of the tube and into the beaker, creating a vacuum at the top of the tube. Not all mercury flows out of the tube and into the beaker. Why do you think that is? The answer is there are two forces acting on the mercury in the beaker. The first one is the force exerted by the mercury in the tube that is above the surface of mercury in the beaker. Let us represent this pressure by pressure Hg, stands for pressure of mercury. Second, the pressure exerted by atmosphere on the surface of mercury inside the beaker. The atmospheric pressure acting on the mercury inside the beaker pushes the mercury up the tube. Let us represent this pressure by P atm. When these two forces are exactly balanced, the mercury will stop running out of the tube and into the beaker. Let us now derive a formula for Phg. We know that the pressure exerted is equal to force acting per unit area. That is, the force exerted by the mercury in the tube on the surface of the mercury in the beaker, and the area is referring to the cross-section area of the tube. We can replace force with mass times acceleration due to gravity, small g. Therefore, the pressure is equals to m times g divided by area. And we can replace the mass with density times volume, and volume with area times height. If we simplify this, area on the numerator and area in the denominator gets cancelled. Pressure is equals to the density of mercury times the height of mercury that is above the level of mercury in the beaker times g. If we do this experiment at sea level, the height of mercury h at which the mercury stops flowing out of the tube is 760 millimeters above the surface of mercury in the beaker. This is called the atmospheric pressure at sea level. That is, 1 atm is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. This value changes with altitude. When we go high, the pressure exerted by the atmosphere on the surface of mercury in the beaker decreases. Therefore, the height of mercury that is above the surface of mercury in the beaker decreases to balance the atmospheric pressure. The product of density times height and g should be equal to the atmospheric pressure. Assuming atmospheric pressure is constant and g is also a constant, the density of the liquid used is inversely proportional to the height at which it stops flowing out of the tube. Let us do an example problem. Mercury is 13.6 times as dense as liquid water. What would be the reading of a water-filled barometer at normal atmospheric pressure of 760 millimeters mercury? We have discussed earlier that the product of height and density and g should be equal to atmospheric pressure. Let us assume h1 is the height of water barometer and d1 is the density of water, and h2 is the height of mercury barometer and d2 is the density of mercury. And we are given that d2 is equal to 13.6 times d1. That is, mercury is 13.6 times as dense as water. Since the atmospheric pressure is constant, the pressure exerted by water on the water reservoir should be equal to the pressure exerted by mercury on the mercury reservoir. That is, d1 times h1 times g is equal to d2 times h2 times g. We can cancel the g on both sides and write d1 times h1 is equal to d2 times h2. There are 4 variables in the equation and we know the values of 3 and we need to find the fourth one. If we rearrange this equation, we get h1, that is height of the water barometer, is equal to d2h2 divided by d1. And d2 can be replaced by 13.6 d1. h2 is 760 millimeters of mercury divided by d1. d1 gets cancelled, and if we do the math, we get 1.03 times 10 to the 4 millimeters. This is approximately 10 meters long. Now let us discuss how we measure a gas pressure. We use a device called as manometer to measure the pressure of a gas inside a container. We take a U-shaped tube that is open on both sides and add mercury to it. When both sides are open, the two columns of mercury experience the same atmospheric pressure and therefore have the same height. We connect one of the ends to a bulb containing some gas whose pressure is to be determined. If the gas inside the bulb has a pressure less than that of atmosphere, then the height of the mercury will be greater in the arm attached to the bulb. In this case, the pressure of the gas in the bulb is equal to the atmospheric pressure minus the difference in the heights of the two columns. Similarly, if the gas inside the bulb has a pressure greater than that of atmospheric pressure, then the height of the mercury will be lower in the arm attached to the bulb. In this case, the pressure of the gas in the bulb is equal to the atmospheric pressure plus the difference in the heights of the two columns.